Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Miller Time segment tonight. 2 weeks ago, the D-Man and I discussed his idea, putting a wall between California, Oregon, and Washington State and the rest of the West, dividing the folks. Also walls around the Northeast and Chicago because attitudes are so different in those places. Tonight, Miller would like to expand his theory. He joins us now from Florida. What are you doing in Florida? You hanging out with Mar-a-Lago down there, Miller? What are you doing?
Billy, I'm down here for the big Phil Keating hair seminar this weekend. We sit with Phil, and he talks about the latest cutting-edge pomades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then I go up the road. Next week, I'm at the Burt Reynolds Dinner Theater in Jupiter, Florida, doing love letters with Nancy Pelosi. And today I find out she can't read, so we have to teach her this. We have to teach her the script phonetically.
Phil Keating, by the way, a Fox News correspondent based in South Florida, for those of you who... All right, Miller, now, you're saying that Americans are no longer going to be able to
Bill,
get along.
Let me quote the great Buffalo Springfield. There's something happening here, and what it is all too clear. We're going through a divorce. This is like getting War of the Roses ugly. If you want to check the docket in the court, it's been filed as the deplorables versus the insufferables. And I think that we're basically incompatible right now. Some of the things the Democrats are doing are scaring the living hell out of me. Can I enumerate a couple of them?
Certainly.
Well, they've turned into Dr. Strangelove versus Russia. I mean, we've gone from this silly thing where Hillary's standing there with the Jeopardy button, you know, asking them to hit it, and now every day I wake up and they're completely hawkish, and I'm worried about them vaporizing Moscow like failsafe. And you know something, Billy, it gave me a good idea when I was watching Pelosi talk about this earlier this week. We should make Pelosi's face the decal on the front of our unmanned drones. Wouldn't that scare the living hell out of you? Coming down the pipe, and just that look. Now, Schumer has turned into Donald Segretti. You're a history buff from the Nixon days.
Right.
And he's into the dirty trick squad right now. And he'll do anything to screw this president up. I watch the news every night. They say there's peaceful protests. Then I watch kids throwing sawhorses through the windows of banks, and I think, this is what's passing for peaceful right now? The only good thing about those protests, I can tell you, Bill, is for the first time, a lot of those kids have a steady job. It's nice to see them out working that hard, because heretofore they've been home on the couch. Now, you're a history buff, like I said earlier, and I have to ask you a question, Bill. I mean this in all seriousness. Obviously, we came to a primal fork in the road in the 1850s, 1860s over slavery. In the country, it could not abide anybody believing in slavery. We had to break up. But up to that moment, I sometimes read stories about Grant and Lee and all these West Point guys being friends. Do you think, outside of the fact that a house divided had to be because we had to eradicate slavery, do you think the country was this polarized as far as manners with each other, or was it better than prior to the Civil War?
No, the hatred after the Civil War was pretty intense, and leading up to it, people were being whipped up, and you know, when you're stabbing each other to death with bayonets, I mean, that's a pretty extreme situation.
No, but I mean, before the Civil War, what was the headset of the country? Like this?
No, because everybody was, what's happening now, the difference now is, back then you had to make a living or you died. All right, it was no like welfare. Yeah. All right, so you're out in the fields or you were doing what you did 10, 12 hours a day, and so you didn't really have time to come back and watch cable. And it wasn't cable. But now there is cable. But even worse is there are little machines that just whip stuff up like crazy and get to people emotionally. And so they're walking around taking their frustrations out on people they don't agree with politically. It's all take the frustrations out on.
You would concur, though, it's as rough as you've seen it right now.
It is.
I don't think you were around in the Civil War.
I've never seen America more hateful. Even it's worse than the Vietnam era. It's worse. Last word.
Yeah. I knew our leaders were in Washington. I just didn't realize it was the state. That's how split we are. We can't even decide if we're going to have a border anymore. I heard when I was coming in here today that the 7 countries on the President's Day, the 7 countries have sued us Today they issued a statement in the Ninth Circuit Court. The 7 countries said, listen, we've got all our crazy terrorists in. We need you to shut it down now. You're diluting the work pool. When our guys go to sign crazies up, they're going to run into bad crazies. We need you. And Mike Flynn, by the way, just signed to be Hillary's new webmaster on her new website. So there you go. It all comes full circle.
There he is, Dennis Miller. All right,
and
Martha
they hired
McCallum.
The switchboard operator.